Brodes Media.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Brodes. So, the agenda today is give our closing thoughts on everything that transpired this week between Nick Sirianni, Saquon Barkley, and the record, and the entire team sort of pouring out their feelings on this thing. So, we'll get into that and sort of tie a bow on it. And I also, for maybe the 100th time, want to make sure I give Nick Sirianni an obnoxious amount of love because I think he deserves it. Listening to all of the guys who made All-Pro, and then even Jordan Mailata, who was snubbed, or excuse me, not All-Pro, Pro Bowl. Big difference. Big difference. But hearing them talk about the culture in the Eagles NovaCare complex, it defines Nick Sirianni. The work ethic, the mentality, the dedication, the support for one another, the bond, the family, the togetherness, all of it is why you're able to get the best out of every single one of them. So when Vic Fangio says, man, this guy has this team emotionally prepared to play each week, and just the way that Nick handles business to lead this group, it's impressive. There's truth to it. Nick Sirianni has shut me up. He has punched me in the face and said, yo, you're going to regret every word you said about me. I'm starting to really believe, like, yeah, you know what? I have to accept it, and I'm willing to accept it. This is special. Not every single coach can go through what just happened for this week 18 and have everything sort of settle the way it settled. Now, that doesn't mean everybody 1,000% agrees with Saquon not getting the record. But damn it, do they respect Nick's decision. And they know it's a difficult one. And they know it hurts him. It's genuine. It's raw. It's, hey man, I would love for Saquon Barkley to be able to do this, but I got to do what's right for this football team. I get paid to do it. And for the first time in a long ass time, that's unfair to say, but I just want to note that this was a very adult decision made by Nick. And yes, there was input from Howie. Yes, there was input from others. Yes, he sat down with Lane Johnson, the offensive line, and others to come up with his conclusion here. But that's what a damn good head coach would do. And he put on his big boy pants for this decision. And he made the right one. There's a reason why Saquon Barkley said he's glad it's out of his hands. And what I absorb when I hear those words is a man who knows, yeah, he does want to get it, but he knows it's not right. Hey, I'm not the one that came up with it by the end of the day here. All right, I'm not the one to put the hammer down and make the call. Because he knows what he probably would have leaned to do, and he knows what's right football-wise. And while there is a part of him that wants it, I also think that there's enough parts of him that realizes, I can't do that to Lane. I can't do that for Cam Jurgens, who played 1,000 snaps. I can't do this for the better of my guys. And not everybody would accept it the same way. Not everybody has the brain that Saquon Barkley has and isn't wired the way Saquon Barkley is. But when you don't get used to playing deep into the postseason, and when you're not used to winning divisions, and when you don't understand fully what it's like to have to play an extra playoff game and not have a bye week if he wants to play week 18, and now you're seeing these teams that are no longer Carolina at 1 o'clock, okay, or the New York Giants at 1 o'clock, you have to go compete against 3 competitive squads, although I'm not afraid of Green Bay, and I'm not afraid of all these teams in the NFC. It's draining. It's wear and tear on your body. It's, their game plan all week long is more than just the average regular season emphasis. This is a playoff game. All right? It's where the money's made. the way teams are going to target you every single time you touch the football, Saquon can handle it, but it's draining. And we need to make sure your body is in the best position possible to take that workload and take that physicality, which he will. And he will succeed. I know it, damn it. But it's all about preparation in this sport. In the film room, in the playbook, and even physically. Stretching, rehab, you name it. The list goes on and on. It's all about preparation. And this team is doing the best job they can preparing the bodies of the starters by having them skip out on week 18. And I just give a lot of credit to Nick Sirianni because it's not the easiest answer in the world. It is. I keep saying that. It is the easiest answer in the world, but it's not an easy conversation to have with somebody that you love, that you know would like to have his name in the record books. And it sucks because you are super close, but that goal, the one that everybody's striving for, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. And that's life. There's things that you have to do that you don't want to do in life, but it is your obligation. It is your duty. This is one that it sucks. You got to swallow the pill. Nobody wants to swallow the pill when it's like this. You don't want to, but you have to. And you got to sacrifice in life, even if it sucks. And this is one of those circumstances. And while I do think Saquon is absolutely willing to go out there to get it, and we'll listen to Saquon Barkley here in a second. I got audio from Saquon. I got audio from Lane. I got audio from Cam Jurgens. I got audio from Mailata. I got audio from a bunch of others. So we're going to listen to a lot of what the team said, and it's not all based off of just the Saquon and the record thing. I am going to stop at some point here and switch the angle a little bit more towards the Pro Bowl and things of that nature. And Nick, right? It's even a whole nother side of this. Yo, Nick, I appreciate you. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm keeping it a buck. When I despised you, I let it known 24/7. Well, when you start doing things that I admire, and when you start to win me over, and when I support you like no other, you're going to know too. All right, I'm going to keep it just 1,000 on the other side now and say, you've earned my respect big time. And I think there is a monster correlation with how this organization is thriving right now. And Zach Bond's another voice you'll hear from. Just listen to the way that he talks about the Philadelphia Eagles and the culture that's set. It all defines Nick Sirianni. It really does. This is why Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie swear by Nick Sirianni. When it's goofy, when it's silly, when he's over the top, when he's absurd, we all scratch our head and wonder, in what world do they want that to sort of be the image of the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, then you see this and you realize, oh yeah, that's why. So we'll get into that. But yes, a portion of Saquon wants it. But if he really wanted it, hear me out. If Saquon Barkley called up Nick Sirianni and said, Nick, coach, I'd love to have a chat. And they go into Nick Sirianni's office, they shut the door, and Saquon goes, listen, coach, I can't respect your decision more. I love you. I love this team. I love everything about the direction that we are going. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I want it. Like, I want it. I want it. I want it bad. And it will mean a lot to my legacy. It will mean a lot to my Hall of Fame career. I just think that this is something that I don't want to discredit the importance of our football team's goals, and I want the Super Bowl just as bad as anything that I ever wanted in my life. But I think that there's a way here that we can do both. And then Howie gets involved, and Saquon talks to Howie, and it's all from a genuine place. It's all from a real, authentic, hey, I'm just being so honest with you, and I'm just putting it out on the table. Guys, like, I really do want this. I think the Eagles would open up the possibility of saying, listen, this is all-time NFL stuff. He wants it. He's been our guy. We owe it to him. He wants it. Like, he wants it. And look, we'll have to figure out everything with the offensive line. If Lane wants to chill, we can talk to Fred Johnson. We can talk to some guys. You know, we can rest who we need to rest. But we do owe it to Saquon for 101 more yards, and we're going to give him that. That's our obligation. If he went in there super strong and super intense, but in the right manner, and just let them know how bad from the bottom of his heart he thought this was important to him and his family and that last name and being an all-timer, I think the Eagles would have at least had a serious talk about what we do here and not disrespect Saquon. That didn't happen, though. To me, and I'm using context clues, it felt more along the lines of, whatever you decide, I understand, coach. Sure, it would be nice. And I slept on it. I talked to my family. My dad would really like it. He kind of sold me the benefits of it. And yeah, there's truth to it all. But whatever decision you come up with, coach, hey, I'll wipe my hands clean of it all and we'll move forward. We'll put it behind us. It seems closer to the latter than it was the hypothetical I brought up. And if that's the case, it shows you Saquon's mentality towards it all. And he's okay with it even though it stings. Of course it stings. Life stings. But you got to make sacrifices, and that's sort of how I see it. All right, why don't we listen to the running back in the locker room? Yes, his body language looked a little slumped. Yes, he had his hoodie up over his head, and he gave everything he had to us, I think, in a very real way. I think this is truly how Saquon Barkley feels on the matter. I don't think he's just saying things publicly because it would be a bad look if he was, quote, selfish, trying to get an individual award. I don't think he's just playing the games so the fan base would like him, because I got hit with that narrative on social over the last 12 hours or so, that they feel Saquon, since he's new to this town and they know how harsh we could be, he just wants to sell a certain story so he looks like the good guy. But deep down, come on, we all know what it's like to be that close to something, and if you have a chance to break a ridiculous record, I don't think that. I really don't. I don't think Saquon is just lying to the fans. I don't think Saquon has that in his body. Yes, he's got player speak in his body, but he's as great teammate can get. When you open up the damn dictionary and look up great teammate in sports, it's Saquon Barkley's face as he's smiling ear to ear. This guy is all about the boys. This guy is all about winning. He hasn't been able to do it in how many years since entering the league as one of the grossest monsters there is with the biggest thighs my eyes have ever seen. He's seen, one playoff situation where he gets pounded into the dirt after beating Minnesota. He comes see the Eagles of all teams and gets a dose of reality. I'm sure there was a lot of pain and suffering. Screw the pain of thinking about breaking the record. How about the pain of never knowing what a hat and t-shirt game is? How about the pain of not knowing what being at the top of the NFC is like? How about the pain and the suffering of not knowing what 13 or 14 wins is like? With a locker room that's set up to have a crazy amount of success for the rest of his contract. Come on now. Got to keep your eye on the prize. Saquon does that. And that's why he responded the way that he did. Take a listen to Saquon Barkley, who reacted to the team deciding to not play him.
Reaction to finding out you're not going to play on Sunday?
Yeah, coach asked me, what I like to do. We had a conversation. They called me back. Let me know that we're probably going to be resting. And my reaction was kind of like I told my family. Obviously, my family, probably wanted a little bit more than me. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is winning football games and winning the playoffs. So I got a big goal in mind.
What was your message to Nick when he did ask you?
I mean, he asked me if I wanted to play, if I want to go for it. I said on Sunday, I probably didn't care too much for it. When I slept on it, it was an opportunity to implant my name in football history. May never get another opportunity like that again. So I'm down, but at the end of the day, I don't care for putting the team at risk. he's the head coach for a reason. He makes those decisions, and whatever decision he wanted to make, I let him know if you want me to play, I'm going to go out there and make sure I get it. And if we don't, I'm okay with that too.
You said he also talked to the line. What does it mean to you guys that you're...
So it goes on there for another question. Apparently he did stand up there for a good 10, 15 minutes. I was talking to Devin Caney a little bit earlier when we filled in for the morning show, and she was there in the locker room, and she was like, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things that weren't as viral on social media. A lot of people got the initial reaction, but as he continued to talk through some of his responses, there were different looks on his face. He came out of it a little bit more, like he wasn't as, all right, down in the dumps. I'm kind of where I am. I'm a little upset about it, but whatever Nick wants me to do. He kind of got out of that form and started to, I don't know, open up a little differently, if you will. So I just think that that's important to note as well. One thing that is so big that Saquon said is he doesn't want to put his teammates in a bad spot either. That's the guy he is. That's the guy he is. If Lane is very adamant, very open about, hey, man, I put in my time in this league and I know what 1 week can do for me. I need more than 1 week. If I'm being transparent, dude, I need more than 1 week, but 1 week does wonders. I spoke to Mike Quick. You know what Mike Quick says? 1 week does wonders, even if you need some more time. We know that these guys probably need a lot of rest, but if you get the whole week of this week heading into the Giants game, the whole week after, and you go through some maybe walkthrough, some light practice, getting ready and gearing up for a playoff game, that's a good amount of time to reset as best as you possibly can. And when guys like Lane are putting in the work for this franchise for X amount of years, and he's vocal about, hey man, listen, I got to be honest, I need this time. There's a way that Saquon thinks, yeah, you know what? It would be awesome to stamp my legacy in the history books, but guys like Lane deserve this. Guys like X, Y, and Z deserve this. Guys who have put in the work since week 5 hadn't had a chance yet for a breather, as much as I badly would like to maybe get in there and run for 100 yards. You know what? I got my 2K. I'm one of a very few amount of people to ever do that. Let's go win a championship. Let's go win a Super Bowl. I got you, Lane. That's Saquon to a T. I would feel differently, and maybe not, because I still would respect the fact that he'd be putting his teammates first, but there would be a side of me that would be like, yeah, you know what? Who is it? Malik Neighbors. I'm just using him as an example because he's a loud personality, or maybe Pickens out in Pittsburgh, right? These are guys, whenever there's a camera in front of their face, they may say certain things, but man, does their body scream a whole different story? Or they may even be willing just to flat out spit it out into the microphone, and they're not afraid to spark any controversy whatsoever. If there was a way where you walk up, you're like, man, screw this, I'm pissed off, I'm not going to, I don't know if that's even a good example, but there's a way where you can still say, I'll do whatever's right for my team. But there's an arrogance, there's an attitude, there's sort of this smell test that it's not passing. I'd appreciate the fact that he's not going out there, but you're actually making it more of a distraction by being a douche. And if that was the case, where Saquon was doing it in an extreme manner, where you're actually causing more trouble and more controversy by the way you're responding, even if you're still getting the result we're looking for, I'm going to call that out big time. I believe Nick Sirianni has done such a good job of creating relationships and creating a foundation of love and support and togetherness and family that you can get by these type of crucial decisions in the best way you possibly can, trying to keep 53 men going on the same page. It really does stem back to, you don't survive as cleanly as you do when you have difference in opinion on such a controversial internal debate that's probably going on in the locker room, because I'm sure there's probably 30 people that say, yo, Saquon, what the hell are you doing, man? And then you got 23 people say, I love you and I appreciate it and you're doing the right thing. So there's no way this is 100% everybody thinks it's totally right. But it's the fact that even if that is the case and there is splits happening within that locker room, you have to maintain the path. You have to keep the train tracks or the train on the tracks, and you can't let it steer off the road. And these are the type of things that do force things to be steering off the road. And it would start now. It's not just, hey, what happens on the football field? It starts with the conflict now. It starts with the ludicrous now. It starts with media answers now. It reminds me, in a way, it's different, but in a way, of when we were dealing with the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Jordan Mailata stuff after Brandon Graham spoke, and they put it to bed early, done, over, let's move forward. It's not the A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts show. It's really about the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers that has a game. They nipped it in the bud, and then they went on and attacked. Well, same here. This is how we feel. This is how it's going to be. Done, over with. We got a football game, and let's see who's going to be out on that field Sunday, and these guys are going to be fighting for their livelihoods. The Tater McKees of the world. You know, they're trying to prove some things. Maybe you can get some guys going a little bit who play a little, but now they can have maybe a bigger role over 4 quarters. Let's see if they can generate some life. There's some guys that this game matters a ton, and I'm fascinated to still watch it with a different lens, without a doubt. The big story, though, coming out of practice is, we still have no update on Jalen Hurts other than he's still in concussion protocol. So no sights of him. He's not even near the practice field. I mean, it's a little worrisome. I'm not fully hitting the panic button yet because, of course, there is still plenty of time until their first playoff game, but it is crazy that it's still lingering this deep into it for sure. Hey, we're going to hear from Lane Johnson in a second. First, do not forget about bookies.com/Brodes. The link is down below in the description, and we all sports bet. There's nothing better than sports betting, and when you have the opportunity to maximize the sign-up bonuses for all these online sports books, you must take advantage of it. You'd be silly not to take advantage of it. And when you go to bookies.com/Brodes and you sign up through that link, there is no doubt about it. You have all the fantastic promotions and sign-up bonuses that are available for you, smacking you right in the face. Do not be a fool. Make sure you check it all out. Once again, the description is down below in the description, bookies.com/Brodes. And do not forget, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your love and support, and you can take this show on the road with you by going to Apple Podcast, Spotify, any of your podcasting platforms, and you could subscribe over there, leave a 5-star rating and a review. That means the absolute world as I'm stumbling all over my words here. Once again, I just want to say thank you for all the crazy support, and those options are available for you. All right, with that, let's listen to Lane Johnson on sitting this week.
Probably pretty bad. It's not going to heal up overnight, but I mean, that's the reason why teams, strive for the number 1 seed to get the bye week, because it is huge. You get guys injured that maybe don't have the ability to play. You get an extra week, and now they have the ability to play. So, and even last year, AJ got hurt before we went to Tampa. So that's what you're looking at, as far as the Saquon situation. So that's the way I see it. So.
What was the conversation like between you guys with Saquon, like going into that decision?
It really wasn't our decision. It's really upstairs. So, we're ready to play if we had to, and if we didn't, we'll sit. So.
Did the coaches get your input since Sunday about that decision?
Yeah, obviously everybody would like to have the record, but you would also like to have the player for the playoff game and win a playoff game with him. So you can get greedy if you want to. This league will quickly humble you and put you back in place.
I like the answer from Lane. I think it's as pro can get. And it's not easy. It's not easy to sit down with someone as powerful as Saquon, someone having the season that Saquon's having, and saying, we really need you to sacrifice something here for the better of the team. And just to be clear, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again because I know how this town goes, and I'm expecting outrage if there is to be a unfortunate situation in the playoffs. Resting Saquon does not equal winning a Super Bowl. Resting Saquon equals a better version of Saquon in the playoffs, and that's the job of a coach, is to put your team in the best position entering the playoffs. From there, you can't execute for them. It's like Rob Thompson can't swing the bat when you're in the batter's box, but his job over 162 is to put this team in the best position. He can't be on the mound and he can't pitch, but his job is to manage the team and to put them in the best position. Same applies to the head coach in football. When you think about the first game that is about to happen at the Link when the playoffs roll around, did Nick Sirianni put the team in the best position possible? If you end up playing them and now they have a little bit more wear and tear on their body, no. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. That wear and tear is affecting the team to some level. Whether it's minuscule, whether it's minor, it's hard to win in the playoffs. So a minuscule deficit is a big deficit. A minor deficit is a big deficit because everything is emphasized. Every pitch matters in the baseball playoffs. It's not the same as every pitch in the regular season. Every deficiency, every little minor detail, every little setback in a playoff football game, in a do-or-die situation, plays a major role. So 15, 16, 17, 18 snaps, however many snaps he would have taken in a Week 18 game against the Giants, those are impacting him for whenever he gets carries and touches in the playoff game that has more significance than Week 18 against the Giants that doesn't advance the team in any way, shape, or form. So I didn't think that it would be that hard to realize that, but I guess it is to some level because I've been screaming at a lot of you for the last 3 days. All right, here's Cam Jurgens. Listen to Cam Jurgens. He says a quote here that really stands out to me. This was Cam Jurgens talking about how he's been able to start his NFL career with so many great players around him on the Eagles offensive line. And keep in mind, of course, he's making the Pro Bowl, which is pretty absurd after losing Jason Kelce, that here we are with Cam Jurgens. But take a listen.
Yeah, I think it was just beneficial, stepping into the league. I feel like it's always tough going from, high school to college and college to the NFL. And it's always nice to have people to look up to and see what they do. I mean, think of the O-line room I stepped into. I stepped in, Kelce was here, Isaac Smalu, Malata, Lane, everybody was pros. They're good at what they do. And so just getting able to pick their brain and watch what they do on the field, off the field, recovery-wise, and just the path is already set. Things have already been done. Stout's had so many Pro Bowlers, all pros. It's just I have to follow in their footsteps and just do, what I think's right and to get better. But at the end of the day, they already have a culture, and I just have to, live up to it and, join in on it.
All right, so he talks about the culture here and how important it is to have these guys that are such pros around them. And essentially, you got to be great and you got to rely on the greatness of others, and it all kind of marries together. Yeah, that's a Nick Sirianni preach. That's what it is. That's something that Nick Sirianni believes a ton in. It's part of his whole core value. All of this to some level, the way that Cam Jurgens is appreciating and really explaining the level of focus, the details. I asked Nick Sirianni, I said, how do you define your team? And part of that answer had to do with the intensity of the details, how well detailed they are, how much they pay attention to that stuff. And, when you think about Cam Jurgens being thrown into the fire, I guess probably isn't a fair way to say it, but when you have to replace, I say thrown in the fire because it's big shoes to fill for Jason Kelce whenever you do get that nod, no matter how much you were able to absorb prior to getting your run at the position. It's a lot of shoes to fill with a ton of pressure, and you get to experience what it's like for these detailed Mailatas of the world, these detailed Lane Johnsons. They set the standard, and you sort of become a sponge and soak it all in from there. But why do you think that's the standard set to begin with? Nick Sirianni. All right, now let's listen to Zach Baun. We're going to do somewhat of some rapid fire here of some media availability. Here's Zach Baun talking about how much he loves the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, if it all works out, and obviously that's things that are out of my control, and in the hands of people above me. But I love it here. I love the guys in this locker room. I love the organization. I hope it all works out.
You're talking about potentially if Zach Bond can stay here and if he can end up being a Philadelphia Eagle more than just this season. Loves it here, loves the locker room, loves the organization, loves everything about it. Now, of course, when you're signed to that contract, you become all pro level. You got guys like Acho out there saying that if this man had a bigger name like Luke Kuechly, he would end up winning insane awards. And because his name is Zach Bond, he's getting disrespected. And there is an insane amount of truth to that, 1,000%. So, of course, my point is, if you start having such spectacular success under a coach like Vic Fangio, and it's a real insane breakout year for you, I'm pretty damn sure you're going to love the opportunity to stay if you can, especially knowing that there's money that flies your way when that's the case too. So, there's something to that. But I also feel that you love it here because of the way Nick Sirianni is able to effectively lead this group. Now let's hear from Jalen Carter on what it's like being a Pro Bowler.
Super crazy because it's hitting me more and more. Everybody like, congratulations, man. Welcome to the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. And then, it really hit when I called my mom and I told my mom, and then I heard her reaction. Heard my brother, my dad, my aunties, and that's when it hit. And then coming in, just getting it from everybody here. Everybody said, I can't be great without the greatness of others, and it's showing. I appreciate my freaking DNs. I appreciate the D tackles, the DB. I appreciate the offense. Everybody just being so cool. That's a big moment for me. I love it.
All right, so I mixed up the Cam Jurgens one with the Jalen Carter one, but he referenced there, you can't be great without the greatness of others. Where do you get that from? Just keep it in a book. Just keep it in a book. Because I even still to this day hear Nick Sirianni slander, and I was once there. But at some point, stop being a hardo. At some point, stop being a douche. I was the douche. And we were rightfully douches then, to be fair. There were reasons to act the way we acted, but enough's enough. Like, this man brought us to a Super Bowl and won how many games in 2022? Now we are a second seed with 13 wins, potentially 14 wins. I mean, it's common now. And while, yes, Howie builds a good culture as well as Nick and good coordinators, I get it. I'm not playing this game today. Nick Sirianni has this thing rolling the way that it rolls. You do not manage as well as they managed through this week and through a lot of their other weeks if Nick Sirianni did not have his hands correctly on his locker room. We'll close things out audio-wise with Jordan Mailata. And he wanted it. He was not afraid to tell you. He said, I want to go after it with Saquon and my guys. He was very consistent. He was very persistent. And this was Jordan Mailata's response to now knowing the inevitable reality that Saquon would not be getting the all-time leading rusher.
It's tough conversations. It was a tough conversation. Talk to Nick, talk to Say, talk to the lineman. And I think, Nick made the best decision in terms of our goals as a team. It sucks, but, again, that is the hat that Nick wears, that he has to make that call. And as players, we have to respect that call. You can have all the conversations you want, but at the end of the day, that's Nick's decision, and we have to respect that. That's just the bottom line.
Now listen, that's perfect. I think that's a perfect way to sort of summarize why I feel so strongly the way that I do. And similar to what I said before, I would feel differently if I thought it was all BS and it was just let's save face or let's just play it this way to satisfy people. That's as real as it gets from Mailata. Nick made the best decision for our goals as a team. It sucks, but that's the hat Nick wears, that he has to make that call. Nick put his big boy pants on and made an adult in the room decision. That was huge for the growth of Nick Sirianni. And guys who didn't necessarily want to go this route heard him out, realized where he was coming from, and others whether it's Howie, Lori, and others. He heard them out. There's a mutual respect. Put it behind us. Let's go. Not every single situation would have played out as cleanly as this one did, and it did because of the way Nick Sirianni handles his locker room. All right, so that's where we stand on that. We are now going to shut things down here. Before we head out, you know my favorite beer in the world is Garage Beer. I'm about to chug one right now. It's going to feel so good on my teeth, I swear to God. And if you like light beer, I'm telling you it's the best light beer in the world. Don't worry about no IPA. It's 0% IPA. It's 100% light beer. It's 1,000% quality. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Do not be a sucker and go try and snag any of these other cold ones out there. It's all about Garage Beer. All right, with that, thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate all your love and support, and I will catch you all on the next one.